Hello ladies and gentlemen, those in between, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Everett, and for today's video we are going to be reacting to a mini documentary about how Greek soldiers saved American soldiers at Outpost Harry. A little known story of the Korean War, Outpost Harry. So
Our positions were overrun.
Wait a moment, so this is more like a mini documentary about Greeks and Americans versus Chinese? Okay. Alright. Anyway.
By a superior number of forces. By the time the artillery stopped, we raised our heads to see what was going on. They were in the trenches and were on top of us.
Outpost Harry selected interview clips.
We had, before the Chinese got there, we'd been subjected to artillery fire for well over an hour. And it intensified, and then the Chinese were coming. And it, I think, was around 2 o'clock in the morning when they finally breached the trenches and got in.
Okay.
We weren't expecting that they'd ever get in the trenches because I had defensive fire, just kind of a wall of steel clear around our position.
Lieutenant Brown, he was in a bunker, a heavy bunker, and he says, Davis, you hold this hill with all cost, if that means your life.
They just kept coming. They just walked over the dead and right into the trench, right into the trenches. That's when the hand-to-hand comebacks occurred. You say, well, a lot of guys are leaving this earth tonight.
I thought that I was going to die. Be brave. Don't be a coward. Whatever's going to happen, be brave. Do your job. Don't be afraid. And that was going through my mind. Don't be afraid. And I was praying.
While I was going on that,
I completely understand why this veteran can't help being emotional, because, I mean, imagine yourself being in a situation where you have no choice but to be brave and fight back. You know what I mean? So, wow. At certain times, we are forced to have the certain amount of courage and bravery for the sake of survival.
I always saying Psalm the 23rd. I always say that.
The Lord is my shepherd.
I shall not want.
It was like a slaughterhouse where there's exposed bone parts and body parts spread all over the top of the hill. You couldn't walk without walking on them.
When we learned that the Chinese were in the trenches and that we needed to do something drastic, we had artillery called in on ourselves.
We used to laugh about that, you know, if everything goes to pieces on you, you could always call in fire on yourself and get it over with. And, but I thought privately, could I do that? Could I call in fire on my own position and my own men? But, you know, I made that decision without even thinking twice.
And I could see the Chinese jumping across. About that time, a Chinaman crawled right above my head, and I saw him come over, and I was kneeling and having my carbine in my hand. I shoved the bayonet up, caught him in the neck, went right through his head, and I flipped him over, pulled my bayonet out.
The trenches were filled up with American and Chinese soldiers. Some of them are still alive, hollering for help. And
oh my God.
But we had to walk over them and keep going to clear the hill out.
That's the kind of warfare that an infantryman goes through. And it's hard to describe. Those things you never forget. And that's what makes the difference between an infantry battle and any other kind. And Harry, I think, was the essence of being an infantryman.
He was killed, Sergeant Hannah. He was killed at the bottom of the hill.
Oh my God.
A damn good soldier he was. A nice person. It shouldn't have happened to him. He was shot in the head. He was shot in the head. I still see that every day I see that. I was right behind him when he was shot.
Oh my God.
And we put a blanket over him. We took a rifle with a bayonet, stuck it behind him, put his helmet on it. And that's how we left him when we went off to help. A blanket, a rifle, and a helmet.
This is your job. You're a soldier.
Okay, you know what, guys? Situations like this, experiences like this, can hunt us down for the rest of our lives. I mean, to witness somebody die right in front of you is very traumatic. No matter how brave someone may seem, oh my goodness. Like I said, experience like this will hunt you down for the rest of your life. And, wow. I'm not really into this type of topic, quite honestly, but because somebody suggested that I should check this one out, saying something along the lines that Greeks actually tried to save the U.S. Army. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is going to be very, very interesting. But I mean, now that I'm watching this, listening to these veterans talking about how their experience was, I have been able to appreciate these people working and protecting our country. Goodness gracious, this is heartbreaking.
And God will forgive you no matter what you do up on the hill.
Infantrymen have already spent their time in hell. When they die, they
Oh,
go straight
God.
to heaven.
The Chinese were coming down the trench to where our outpost bunker was, our command post. And from there inside, we were firing out the door to keep them out.
They threw a grenade in, and I could hear it sizzling, but I, so much junk on the floor, but then there's no way you could ever kick it back out. And when it went off, Richards and Markley dropped.
One of the concussion grenades knocked me out, and I was unconscious
Gosh.
for quite a while.
Then they threw another grenade in, and this one knocked me down, and I fell partly on Markley, and of course he was unconscious, and Richards was unconscious, and a flashlight came through the door, and he looked Richards over, and then he looked Markley over, and I thought I'd play dead, so I took this bloody hand and wiped over my face.
Woo!
And but then, before he got to me, I was shaking like a leaf. I was so scared
Oh, goodness
that I
gracious.
couldn't help but shake. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? Because he'll know I'm still alive. About that time, Rich started coming to, and they were talking to one another. The wounded was talking to the guard, and so he got up and went over with his flashlight and looked at Rich and shot him. And pretty soon Markley started.
Okay, let me pause the video right here, guys, because I would just like to say that it really hits in a completely different way when you listen to somebody who experiences something firsthand. And I can't imagine myself being in a situation where I had no choice but to play dead. I mean, gosh. I am the what you see is what you get type of personality. And imagining myself being in this situation, ooh, now I'm thinking, what would I do? These veterans, hands down, more often than not, we have the tendency towards forgetting what they've done for our country. These veterans who fought, who were willing to give their lives up just to protect our country during the World War, and in this case, Korean War. Wow, I'm having chills.
kind of moving around.
My throat was clogged up, and I tried to clear it, which caused me to make a little noise.
He started coughing, and so they came over and they rolled me kind of away from him a little ways and looked me all over. It just felt like that flashlight was burning my face. I didn't think I'd ever make it, and I didn't know, how I'd ever get out of it.
I felt that I was with a group that would take care of me, and I'm going to take care of them, and we would fight for each other.
The Greeks. Oh gosh. Woo!
And then we heard this roar and big cloud of dust, and here come a convoy driving across there. And it was the Greeks arriving at Outpost Harry. And when the truck pulled up nearest me, there was a man standing up against a cab playing a musical instrument, something like a concertina, I would call it. And the men were singing, they were all jovial. And I thought, yeah, that's the way to run an army. I said, I like these guys.
Wait, I think I've already made a reaction video to Greece's military. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, in that video it was mentioned that Greek military men still had time to crack jokes in serious moments like this.
Greeks built a fire down on the front lines there, and they were singing and making all kinds of noise and
singing.
And they do that to try to entice the Chinese to kind of come down and see what's going on, Well, then they would have their ambush patrol out, and they would capture them or take care of them, And I thought that was pretty clever. The Greeks were darn good soldiers. We loved them.
And we got
Clever. Absolutely clever. I can't think of any other words to describe what they did. That was absolute, goodness gracious. Love the humor in this situation. I mean,
all got to love them very much because they were fierce fighters.
Fierce fighters. I love that.
I can remember looking out the trench door, and this one Greek, there's two chinks come in on him with just both bayonets. They both had bayonets on their rifles. But I tell you, friend, I was scared to death. And he just exploded, knocked the rifles out of their hands, and grabbed the little old guys by the necks and punched their heads together, and they were still the rest of the time then.
What I remember about them is they had no fear. They were the best bayonet people in the world.
Wow.
And after every time the bayonets were used, they would clean them, take all the blood off.
Wow.
And it was amazing, because nobody else ever did that.
I was really impressed with their attitude. They were all brave men. One of the nights, one of the soldiers was slightly wounded in a small firefight, and the Greeks had a great celebration for him.
They were just happy-go-lucky. They were not really concerned.
Wow. Okay, I want to know, guys, whether Greece is actually included in the top 10 happiest countries in the world, because as far as I know, Finland is the #1 happiest country in the world. Some other European countries are also included, like Denmark, Sweden. So I want to know whether Greece is also included in the list, because the way I personally perceive it, Greek people are very friendly. And well, I've also come across a few rude Greeks in the comments section, but I completely understand that, because of course Greek culture, Greek history, they are completely significant. So I mean, it might feel like an insult to these people, especially when they listen to somebody, or when they watch a reaction video where the reactor doesn't really know what's going on, you know what I mean? Well, I admit 100% that I'm not fully knowledgeable about Greece, and that is why but I love Greek people in general, okay? I love Greek people.
They were the toughest people I've seen.
Wow.
When the Chinese attacked them, they would fix bayonets and meet them halfway down the hill.
Wow.
Consequently, it became known that whenever the Chinese were certain they were on line, they tended to avoid them. I wish we'd had more of them on Outpost Harry. Maybe they would have avoided us.
All right, guys, what am I supposed to say? First of all, I love how these American veterans described these Greek soldiers who saved them at Outpost Harry. And to my mind, maybe for some soldiers they call it war, but probably for these Greek soldiers, they call it playground. I do love their attitude toward this situation. I mean, if I just can't imagine myself being in this situation. And like what these American soldiers said, Greek soldiers were tough soldiers, but at the same time, they have a sense of positivity, and they're cheerful, they're bright. They were even singing. I mean, wow. And of course, thanks to these great Greek soldiers who saved these American veterans. Thank you very much, guys. But anyway, I'd like you to tell me how you feel about this mini documentary in the comment section below. Okay, so I guess that's about it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when my next video comes out. Peace out.